up, Taiwan? I'm Jeremy Olivier with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The Philippine military and their U.S. counterparts are engaged in massive war games known as Balikatan. It comes as tensions between Manila and Beijing over competing maritime claims reach a boiling point. Rick Glauert brings us more from the Philippines.
Fending off a mock attack from above. Philippine troops and their US allies launch air defense drills in Zambales on the Philippines' west coast facing the South China Sea, using for the first time the Marine Air Defense Integrated System, or MADIS, brought in from the States. A mobile weapon system built to take down hostile drones mid-flight.
Extremely important that we learn from each other, that we are able to discuss coastal defense strategies, that we as the United States Marines are able to bring our weapon systems here to the Philippines to aid in that coastal defense concept.
The hundreds of soldiers here are being joined by thousands more for 3 weeks of annual joint US-Philippines war games called Balikatan, meaning shoulder to shoulder, being held for the 40th time.
Joint drills like this aren't new, but showcasing new weapon systems like this MADIS send a clear message that the Philippines and defense ally the US are ready to face an evolving threat, a threat coming from China.
Beijing claims the area off Zambales coast, along with most of the South China Sea, as its own territory. Though the waters and islands here are within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, China has been increasingly sending military boats and aircraft to assert its claims.
You are flying too close. You are very dangerous and endangers the lives of our crew and passengers.
China's presence near here is rattling the fishing villages that dot the coast. Boat owners don't dare go out as far as the contested reefs for their daily catch anymore. Many instead charge tourists for trips around nearby bays to make ends meet.
Para nawawala na rin po kami ng karapatan. Parang ang karapatan namin ng mga tao na Pilipino na kinuha na po ng mga banyaga.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has been pushing back against Chinese aggression, calling out Beijing's actions, bolstering defense, and chasing greater military cooperation with the US and other regional allies. This year, both Australia and Japan are joining the Balikatan drills.
The United States is the cornerstone. It's the country's only treaty ally. But bringing in all of these nations, they see it as a way to support, their legal legitimacy and international backing.
China has made clear its objections to this show of international solidarity, and it's been throwing its weight around the region, recently sending another carrier close to the Philippine coast and claiming control of an additional reef in the South China Sea. For the people living along the Zambales coast, this rising territorial tension has come to shape their daily lives. Now, on their doorstep, the Balikatan live fire drills mean boats are restricted to shore and incomes are affected. But there's also a sense of reassurance as the nation's military and its biggest ally demonstrates their strength. Fu Hua Hong, David Santos and Rick Glauert in Zambales, the Philippines for TaiwanPlus.
China and the Philippines are locked in a new dispute in the South China Sea, this time over a string of sandbars known as Sandy Key. These little sandbars measure roughly 200 square meters, but have strategic value for both countries. For more on this, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to Ray Powell, director of the Sea Light Initiative at Stanford University.
So we see this photo from China holding this flag, claiming what looks like to be this piece of sand in the South China Sea. We're also seeing a similar photo from the Philippines side. Can you explain first what China is trying to do here and why?
The interesting thing about this particular feature is there's a bit of a history here, and it goes back a few years. There were sort of competing claims made on this. Now, the agreement between China and ASEAN that was made in 2002 called the Declaration on the Conduct of the Parties in the South China Sea, says that nobody should be inhabiting any uninhabited features. In other words, if it wasn't inhabited before 2002, they're not supposed to inhabit it now. Philippines owns or occupies T2 Island nearby, what they call Pagasa, and China claims that as well, of course. And so the other thing that's interesting about this particular, Sandy Cay, is that it is legally a rock under international law, which generates a 12 nautical mile territorial sea. Interestingly, China has a huge military base very, very close to this, which legally under international law is only considered a low tide elevation, because before they built it up, it was underwater at high tide. So if they were actually to sort of successfully occupy and claim this particular key, this would be the thing that would kind of give them a little more legitimacy for what they've done at Subic Reef.
And what do you think is going to happen next? Will China send more ships to reinforce its claims here?
I'm not sure that there's anything else that's going to happen here. There is enough going on. The other thing that's happening at the same time, of course, is that the United States and the Philippines are in the middle of their huge annual exercise, Balikatan, which is happening up in the northern part of the country, Batanes, which of course is the part that's the closest to Taiwan. So this may be also a bit of just kind of a reminder to the Philippines that we're watching you and we're not afraid to pull these little stunts to continue to assert ourselves.
So when we look at how the Philippines is managing the situation, does this mean that we're going to see more cooperation between the United States and the Philippines?
The last couple of years have been pretty disturbing if you're the Philippine government. You've had a lot of aggression. You've had these rammings and the water cannons and all of the things happening across the entire West Philippine Sea. And that has just forced the Philippines to pull even closer to their best, security partner, which is the United States. It's their only treaty ally. So, I mean, in the end, I think it's hard to say whether China has gained anything from all of this aggression. They've certainly, been able to consolidate control around a couple of uninhabited features, but have they actually won when what they've done is they've woven the Philippines deeper into their U.S. Alliance structure?
That was Ray Powell, director of the Sea Light Initiative at Stanford University. An asteroid has been named after acclaimed Taiwanese artist and 228 incident victim Cheng-po.
陈先生，陈澄波是我们第一个提出来的呀，但因为他属于我们的台湾那个近代油画里头一个很先驱者呀，就做很多贡献。
The asteroid was first discovered in 2007 by two astronomers at Taiwan's National Central University and the U.S.'s University of Maryland. They chose to name it after Cheng-po in honor of his artistic achievements. Chen was executed for his involvement in an anti-government uprising in Taiwan in 1947. The International Astronomical Union finally approved the name this January. An exhibition about the asteroid has been set up at the National Taiwan Museum, which will run until May 11th. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, take a look at these wisteria trees, now in full bloom in Japan. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, follow TaiwanPlus on social media.